Welcome to the LPEA podcast Carried Interest Unpacked, where we break down the operational, tax, legal aspect of carried interest. I am Vincent Coursan, Audit Partner at BDO, and I'm joined today by Nicolas from Bain Capital and Stephane from Cisco. Starting with Nicolas at the source, as a finance manager at Bain Capital, can you please maybe explain what are the key aspects and challenges that you look at when setting up a carried interest model?
The first thing that comes to my mind is the description of a carried interest model in the LPA or the prospectus. These are negotiated documents written by the lawyers. While they are extremely precise in their legal intent, they are not always written with operational and accounting execution in mind. There are provisions around preferred returns, hurdles, clawback triggers, distribution waterfalls, and the language governing these provisions is often open to interpretation. Different stakeholders may have different views and different assumptions when reading the exact same clause. And even a slight difference in the interpretation can translate into a material difference in the actual carry calculation. Hence, early alignment before capital is called and distribution made is crucial. Which is why I'm curious, Stephane, in your experience in fund accounting and as a relationship manager, how do you approach it when you onboard a new fund?
Thank you, Nicolas. We have touched base on an important aspect here. LPA, prospectus, everyone knows it's a complex living document. Therefore, it's not really being written for the operational aspects here. Therefore, in terms of a fund administrator, the key point here is onboarding. Onboarding, not only in terms of systems onboarding, KYC onboarding, but also in terms of understanding what the future will happen here. Okay. Therefore, what we do on our side, we sit on a table, we discuss with the fund managers, sometimes with auditors, and also the legal advisors to ensure that our understanding of a carry model is in line with everyone's expectation. Because then the next step is to send the model for sign up to the fund managers. And once the fund manager sign up the model here, therefore we do a stress test. Stress test means any future movement in terms of capital, we put in our system or on Excel in some cases as well to try to get the expected results and then see if everyone is in line with what we expect. And from your side, Vincent, I would say in terms of auditing a lot of funds, what you have seen as red flags really and the different controls, potential deficiencies during these thousands audits that you have been doing.
So, as Nicolas mentioned earlier, the complexity with carried interest really lies within the complexity sometimes of the LPA or the capital structure and the mechanics of the waterfall. The challenge indeed are interpretation and also the fact that the model has been in practice really works and bring the outcome of the intended economics that the client wants to have and has agreed with his investors. So, as you mentioned, early alignment between all the stakeholders, ideally including the auditor, is actually quite critical. It's I think, really a best practice. But tell me, Stephane, from a technology perspective, can technology help us within this process?
It's a great question, actually, Vincent. For currently the market, we have automation. And what we have done on our side, but also across our market, we can see that there's automated waterfall engine being developed, being set, and as well being provided by the third party as well. Okay? And these automated engines is really important because now the market is growing. We have more business, more funds, volumes are increasing, and as well for different prospective LPA, the terms are changing, becoming more complex. We have situations like deal by deal level carried interest, multi-tier carried interest, and that's why automation as well is here to ensure consistency. And when we talk about automation, it doesn't mean that you just put the figures over there and no one reviews it. Actually, there's a proper audit trail as well to ensure that on the fund admin side, there's a proper setup first, in line with the prospectus and LPA, proper review done internally, and as well when it's sent to the fund managers for review, they can see the input and output and are able to do a proper review on the side as well. And that's why automation key, but again, we still have in some cases Excels needed when a new model comes through, and we have to kind of model it first on Excel and try to have a system come and match it. And again, all these systems as well are adaptable or modulable in line to different LPAs, different models. And I would say from your side, Nicolas, as part of a review, what are the important aspects that you consider very key for you here?
So as a manager, I cannot simply receive a figure and trust it blindly. I have a responsibility towards the LPs to ensure the carry calculation is accurate. There are different procedures to approach it. The first procedure is checking the inputs, making sure that the underlying data, such as variations or capital activity, feeding into the model are accurate. If the inputs are wrong, the output will be wrong, regardless of how good the model is. The second procedure is requesting from the fund administrators a control sheet. It is like a movement analysis which shows how the carry figure has evolved from one period to another. If the carry has moved significantly, we want to understand why. Was there a new investment, a distribution, or a change in valuation? This sanity check is powerful. The third way is by independent reperformance and reconciling against the fund administrator's figures. Vincent, I guess this is, you look at it closely while doing your audit, right?
Yes, exactly. And the type of procedures that we perform are quite consistent actually with what you described. So typically, we will read the LPA and try to build up an independent expectation and try to assess whether the final outcome, the actual numbers, reflect the intended economics of the waterfall, typically 80-20 waterfall. So that's why, again, the early alignment is quite critical. And the ideal scenario that we see is indeed when the administrator has a sophisticated process which is supported and backed by a review which is formalized at the level of the fund manager. Stephane, I leave to you the word of conclusion.
Yeah, I think the message for everyone today is clear, actually. For interpretation, controls, and challenging the output are key aspects here. Well, thank you very much, Nicolas and Vincent, for today. And for everyone, please stay tuned for the next episode.